And we're live. How's everybody doing out there? This is my wife, our second live together, and we just thought it would be fun and maybe interesting to people to do a little update on our married life. We get questions pretty regularly, people asking how it's going, questioning maybe how happy, are we as happy as we appear to be? So we just thought, this might be fun to do every once in a while, do a live maybe every other week, update people on how things are going. There's all kinds of things that both of us have learned and worked through, so maybe it'll be helpful to someone.
We have a lot of conversations between us too. So
lots of conversations happening between us. Also in the coaching program that we have, we get lots of situations come up, things that we've already kind of worked through and been through, and we help other people that are maybe pursuing biblical marriage work through. And then we have people that are ahead of us that are helping us work through things that they've already been through long ago, that are coaches in the program as well. So, but today we are going to do a little update on our married life. We're going to talk about some things that have happened recently. We went to New York to celebrate her early birthday party. Then we had a birthday party back here. I had some big things happen in the world of content. I had a debate with Andrew Wilson. Some of y'all might know him from the Crucible podcast. He's also on the Whatever podcast. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then whatever else comes up. So look, if you have any questions or comments, drop them. We're going to go through the comments at the end of this and, read them. And if there's any questions, we'll answer them. But do me a favor, if everybody would, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, hit that thumbs up button, say hello, let us know that you were here. It encourages us, and it also helps more people actually see the live. So let's get into it. Okay, update on married life. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to each ask each other a question. What question we don't know. I have a question I'm going to ask her. She has a question she's going to ask me, and then we're going to answer it in front of y'all. Okay, so that's what we thought might be fun. So to start things off, ladies first, right? So you go ahead and ask your question first.
Let me think how I frame it though, because it's a question that has a few things that I want to know actually in it. Okay, what I want to know from you is, like, from your perspective, how do you feel? Are things different now that you're married? Like, is there like a noticeable difference? And if so, how? Like, what would you feel different on compared to what you feel different on, for example, in another relationship?
Right. Okay. So what's different now versus my previous relationships where I was just dating girls?
Yeah, for example. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Now, there's definitely a sense of permanency, because I know we're going to be together until we die. Divorce is not in our vocabulary. It's not an option.
Yeah, we even agreed to not even talk about it.
Like it's, yeah.
Not even as a joke, not even when we're mad. Like, it's just, it's just not something we ever bring up.
Right. The Bible says what God has brought together, let not man separate, right? And we know that God brought us together. Now, if God didn't bring you together, maybe there's an argument for divorce, but we're very sure that God brought us together, so that's not on the table. No, it's mostly, I guess, like planning, for the future, because we're like building, we're thinking about long term. A lot of times when I was in relationships with girls in the past, it was always kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I wasn't planning 10 years from now with them. If anything, I was keeping a mental Rolodex of the girls I was going to date or sleep with after I ended the relationship with them, even though I didn't have a plan necessarily to end it. There were always girls I'm like, yeah, maybe one day I'll date her, or kind of, I don't really think like that now, because I'm not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. We can plan 10, 20, 30 years into the future. That would probably be the biggest thing. How about you?
You have to ask me another question. So
original question. No, I'll ask you another one, but you got just go ahead and answer that one.
For me, I would say it's definitely also the permanency thing, but also what I noticed for myself is that I really have, like, whenever we are having a conflict, which luckily doesn't happen that often, but when we do, I feel like whatever comes between us, I feel we have to resolve right now because it's gonna be long term. And I'm like, I don't wanna have this between us long term. And whereas, I mean, I was committed in other relationships too, but it's more like, because I know I'm not, like, we're always gonna be together, I feel like we have to work through things more, and otherwise you're more like, well, you kind of feel, even if it's not very subconscious, you still feel like you have a way out, kind of thing. And I feel that for me is a big thing.
That there's no way out.
I'm stuck now.
Help.
Send help.
No, I get it. Okay. So here's my question. What has been different? What was different in our relationship, being the fact that we weren't physical until we got married? We were a little physical. We weren't having sex. We waited. Why was it? How was that different for you versus previous relationships where you dated a guy and you didn't wait?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because honestly, to be honest, this was the first relationship that lasted more than a couple weeks or a month, because I did date a girl for about a month, I think, in those 12 years. But I never dated and waited. I waited, and then I dated and had sex, with a guilty conscience. But I never dated and waited until you and I. So I'm just curious to hear how is it different?
Well, in many ways, like, one of the big differences for me was definitely that I didn't feel, I mean, I felt attached to you at some point, obviously, because we were spending a lot of time together, but I felt very clear. So that, I feel like once a girl starts sleeping with a guy, it's almost as if your judgment gets a little bit clouded.
100%,
yeah. Maybe you weren't even that much into him before, and now all of a sudden you're like way more into him, just because you slept with him, because of the attachment that you feel. And that, like,
that's actually biology. There's something in your brain called your amygdala. Don't quote me on that, but it's whatever part of your brain that notices like warning signs. It actually shuts down after sex for a woman. So you'll miss all the red flags. You'll miss all the warning signs once you're physical with a man, which is why you're supposed to wait till marriage.
Yeah, so, well, I definitely noticed that. So for me, that was a big thing. Like, I felt way more clarity. I probably, there actually have been times where I was thinking, like, if we were already sleeping together, it would probably be easier for me to make some decisions in terms of commitment, because
right.
like you were already attached. So but I'm glad we didn't, though. Like, that definitely, like, I felt a lot of clarity, and I felt a lot of, like, and then another thing is that we really had to build our relationship before that. I also felt like we really built our friendship relationship too. So it wasn't only romantic or only like a sexual relationship, it was also a friendship relationship. Kind of both. I mean, it was never like purely friendship. I was always sexually attracted to you too. But I mean, it's more the
getting to know all the other parts about the person kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then another thing is that it does give you more direction too, because you're just not sleeping with each other and just, I mean, spending time on that. So it's more like, if you're not are taking it serious, then what are you doing?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say it was an intentionality for me. It was like, when you're sleeping with someone, dating, you're like, I like you enough for now, kind of thing. You move in with somebody, I like you enough for now. It's not, but when you're waiting, it's like, it's very intentional, because you're like, you're getting older, I want to have sex again. If we're not going to be the two people that are going to dance, then I'm going to go find a dance partner. So that's why, even it just really speeds up the getting to know you process. We Son and I dated for only 8 months in person before we got married, but it was a very intense learning period with each other. We spent almost every day together, and so it just speeds all that up, I think, because it really puts things under a microscope. So anyway, that's it. I want to move on. That was just our fun little whatever. Ask each other a question. You guys, you've seen me posting a lot about biblical marriage lately, and maybe you have questions around that. I see people ask questions sometimes in the comments. This would be a great opportunity to ask those questions if you have anything, or any pushback on it. Even go ahead and drop it. We'll check the comments before we get off here. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done recently because we've had a pretty active schedule. We went to New York City for your birthday a couple weeks ago. I want to give a shout out to Owen O'Donnell for inviting us. We took the bus up there. So originally we were going to go the following week just for her birthday to see the Christmas lights.
We already planned it a couple of weeks in advance.
Yeah, and just walk around just for the day. And I saw a post on Facebook that Owen said he had a free ticket to the Fox Patriot Awards that he was looking to give away. And I was like, hey, I might be interested in that. So and ended up getting that ticket, and then we went up, and Owen had a room at the Trump International Hotel right across from Central Park, so we were able to stay there for free and went to the show. And Trump showed up last minute. He decided to get the award in person, and it was
that was your birthday present.
Yeah, it was an amazing weekend. We were really blessed. We came back, we were up there for like 2 nights. Came back, and we actually saw a show up there, Tammy Faye on Broadway. Got super cheap rush tickets to that. But then we came back, and I think that weekend there's a girl that's in our coaching program. This is, let me back it up for a second. Okay, I have a men's and women's coaching program. It's for people that are pursuing polygyny, or some of them are pursuing monogamy. It's really more about patriarchy. What does patriarchy mean? It means like biblical patriarchy, where a man leads his household according to biblical principles. Okay, but it does include biblical marriage. So a lot of people are just finding my post and are finding out the truth about how the Bible defines marriage, and it does include polygyny, whether people like it or not. Go research it for yourself. It's not hard to find the truth. And they're like wanting to know, okay, how do I attain this? How do I achieve this successfully? How do I do it successfully once I achieve it? So we got guys. One of the guys that's in our group, he's got 4 wives, and he's been married to them many years. He literally had 3 babies in 1 month. He added 3 kids to his family, had 3 of them pregnant. And he's just loves God, very smart, and he's teaching us things about how to set up your finances and trust and work around different situations. So we have this coaching program for people. Some people are not interested in plural marriage. They're like, maybe if that's what God wants. But now there's also women that are discovering my content that are like, hey, this actually, I never really thought of this before. This isn't a bad deal for women, and they're reaching out. So we have a women's program where the ladies meet, the men meet on a group call once a week. The women meet in a group call once a week. Some of the women are wives already. Some of the women are single, looking to potentially join a family. They're just kind of learning more about it. But one of the girls that are in our program, she originally reached out to me on Instagram and, said, I've been following you and your wife for a while, and you look like a fantastic couple. And, basically just, she was interested in joining our family. So that's what it boils down to. And, I've said this probably more than once, but like, I'm creating content, not so much because I want a second wife. I just want people to know they can have one, because then men will be more likely to marry. They'll be more likely to stop fornicating, and they'll actually marry girls. Okay, does that make sense? So for me, will I? I don't know. It's a decision that's really up to God. I may never have a second wife or more than one. But he's going to decide that. So this girl reached out, and we're just like, okay, yeah, let's see, get to know her. We'll bowling with her, and she seems very sweet and great. Doesn't mean she's necessarily that God's bringing her into my family. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. We told her, listen, we want to help you navigate your way to your husband, whoever that is, whether it's me or if it's someone else. We just want to help you get there. And that's really, even what I did when I was with City Fam was I was trying to provide a safe place for women to get together and have fun, and where there wasn't a bunch of guys that were trying to fuck them. Excuse my language. But that's really what I was trying to do. So that's what I want to do for this girl. Help her navigate her way to her husband, because Isn't that what I should do as a man? If I love my neighbor as I love myself, wouldn't I want someone to have done that for her? Yes, I would have, right? Someone to have protected her purity and not just trying to, bang her and help her navigate her way to me. That's what I want to do for this girl. So, whether it's me or it's someone else, we'll see. We're just praying about it. But that's really how, so there's a guy in our coaching program. This is what I wanted to say. Today he reached out and he's dating this girl that he met on a dating app, and his goal, or, he thinks that polygyny is his goal, or that's his vision for his life, is to have more than one helpmeet. And that's how the Bible refers to women, as helpmeets or helpmates, some people say, but helps a man meet his purpose, get his vision accomplished. And he has a fairly big vision. He thinks that it's going to take more than one woman to help him get there. And he also sees the great need for women to be covered in the world. I think, we talked about a study on a podcast I was on today where half of all the women aged 25 to 44 will be single by the year 2030. That's real bad for the world, if you don't understand that. Half of the adult women by the year 2030 will be single. And 1 in 3 children right now are being raised in fatherless homes, and that number is expected to double by 2030. So when you get a nation full of adults that have been raised without fathers, it's not great for the nation, because those people they're depressed, they're dropouts, they get pregnant young. So that's how a society collapses. And so this is a real issue, but that's not what I necessarily want to talk about. He is having problems with this woman that he's dating because, she's trying to challenge his boundary. She's trying to see if he'll get off his stance on polygyny. Can she get him to be monogamous? That's what I sense it is. And we've been coaching him through this and how to respond, because I do feel like the reason that the world is in the situation that it's in now, where polygyny is not even it's not an option for man anymore. How do we get to this point? I believe it was weak men somehow lost their way and succumbed to the wishes of their wife, kind of like Adam did in the garden. Now a man's birthright, it's not even on the table. So where I was going with that is I feel like she's trying to get him off of that, to see if he's serious about this, if this is really his goal. But one of the things that we coached him on was saying, listen, and this is where really a man should be with this, is you shouldn't have a set mind, like a preset goal of saying, okay, I want 4 wives, right? Because you don't know if God's going to give you that. The worst thing you could do is try to jam a square peg into a round hole and say, I want 3 wives. So because it's like almost like, you had said something what I thought was great now. It's like saying children. I'm going to have 4 children. Like maybe God will give you 4 children. Maybe you'll have 2 and realize that's all I need. Maybe you'll have 1 and go, this is good. But to try to determine it in advance, that's a mistake. So that's just one of the things I said to him, is just that, tell her, listen, I believe this is a man's biblical birthright. Polygyny is a man's biblical birthright. I think it's very clear in Scripture. And if God tells me to, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to do whatever he tells me to. Not what you tell me to do, what God tells me to do. That's it. It may be you, or it may be 4 wives. It may be 10. I don't know. But don't go into it saying it's going to be polygyny. Because then it's about you making the decision versus God making the decision for your relationship. So
I have a question that I just thought of.
Sure.
So how would you, if you were a man...
Hold on 1 second. Can you all see and hear us okay? Because nobody's dropping comments. If you can hear us okay, please just drop a comment and let us know that you can hear us. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Question. What was my question? Oh yeah. If you... so let's say, how do you as a man then determine if it's not your own kind of desire? Let's say you just you're very attracted to the idea of having 2 wives, right? Which is, I think, pretty natural. And then how would you determine if it's coming from God or if it's coming from you trying to pursue that yourself?
Well, I mean, you got to have discernment, right? It's not easy to discern God's will sometimes, but I've been walking with God for 24 years. I've been praying and making my decisions letting him make my decisions. So I've learned to hear the voice of God. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes I don't get an answer right away. Sometimes it's a very still small voice. Sometimes it's just a real overwhelming sense of peace. But like with you, I just knew that God's fingerprints were all over it. You were the first girl in in my life that God was giving me the green light to marry.
Well, and we prayed a lot about it.
Yes.
We fasted a lot about it.
So it could be a variety of ways. It could be a sign. It could be, sometimes it comes through another person where someone will say something, and it'll just register with you. Like you'll feel this check in your spirit. You might have a dream. I mean, it can happen in a variety of ways. But I want to mention something and I'm not going to mention her name, but my first girlfriend just tuned in. Okay, the first girlfriend I had, we were together for 5 years. And this is what I try to emphasize with biblical marriage. I know women don't want to hear this because it hurts their pride. Because it's like, it's not fair. Why do you get to have more than one and I don't? I don't know. God made the rules. Take it up with him. But men and women aren't the same. We're not the same. We're not wired the same. Okay? And had I known about polygyny, would I have gotten married younger? Probably. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I probably would have. And that's the point. This is the point that I'm trying to stress. Women are out there trying to get men to be monogamous, a lot of times after they've been promiscuous themselves, and men aren't doing it anymore. The marriage rates are the lowest they've ever been. And they're just like, nope. And the women are in an impossible situation because the men are like, what are they going to do? Just get old and not have babies? No, they're going to go out and they're going to fornicate. They're going to have sex, and some of them are going to get pregnant, and we're going to have a bunch of, we're going to have a degenerate society. So that's kind of one of the main things that I try to emphasize. Like, people are like, oh, you just want to have sex with more than one woman. If I wanted to have sex with more than one woman, why would I get married? That's the most ridiculous notion. Why marry 2 women when I could have sex with dozens? It doesn't even make sense. Why would I take responsibility for them? It's about women needing a covering and going back to God's ways of doing this. There's a reason. I was thinking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, he gets caught having sex with the maid and makes a baby with her. And I'm like, the man wanted variety. He had a beautiful wife, but he wanted variety. A lot of men do. A lot of men get caught cheating. 30% of men on dating apps are married right now. Why? Because of this. We're trying to fit society. This isn't a biblical construct. Monogamy it's nowhere in the Bible. The word monogamy is not in the Bible anywhere, nor is polygyny. It's just called marriage. One man, one woman, marriage. A man can have many marriages, many one flesh unions. Bible never says anything about that limits them. That's why you never see a man ever punished for polygyny. Never once was a man called an adulterer for having more than one wife. Never once was he condemned or punished, or not even a negative word spoken against him. So we need to do away with this notion that it's sin. And if we did, society would improve, because we make marriage great again, and kids will have fathers in the homes. And, so that's my soapbox. I won't stop talking about it. But, we really did make some serious traction recently, because I had that debate with Andrew Wilson, and he's got, somewhere around 200,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. And he was sharp, man. He's a professional debater, and he's got a huge vocabulary, and he's a very high IQ, I'm sure. And it wasn't easy. I accepted that debate last minute. Literally the day of, I agreed to it. And I did not have time to prepare. But my thought process was, look, I don't care if I lose the debate, but the topic is being talked about. A few months ago, nobody even knew this was a thing. Nobody even knew that there were Christians that believed in polygyny or polygamy. I didn't know. I discovered it on a whim. I watched some Netflix special about cults, and it just got me thinking about, I wonder if there's any Christians that believe in polygamy. And I started researching, and I found all this information, and I discovered the truth about what the Bible actually says. But nobody was talking about it. So my whole goal with this when I started was like, I just want to get this on people's radar. I just want the conversation to be had, because even if it's a small percentage of people, even if 95% of 99% of people disagree with me, 1%, 5%, 3%, whatever the number is, they'll go, you know what? He made a good point in that one section, and it'll just rattle around in their brain for a while, and then they'll go to scripture and they'll go, let me check this out just to prove this guy wrong. And then they're going to see what I saw. And if you get enough people to do that over time, the truth comes out. So yeah, that was my goal. So basically, Andrew Wilson, I had the debate with him. Before that, a guy named Mike Winger actually did a response video to a video that I made called 5 Reasons Why Christian Men Should Pursue Polygamy. And, typical nerdy Christian dude, look, what you'd imagine a mainstream church guy looking like. And, same thing, pushed back on it, told me all the reasons. Really a lot of logical fallacies, though. If you watch that one, he didn't even use much scripture because I think he'd be hard pressed to do that. And then Pearl, if you all know who Pearl Davis is, just Pearly things. She's kind of like the female Andrew Tate. She actually subscribed to my channel, and there's a chance that I'll be going to Chicago to be on her show. We'll see. But she did a response video to my debate with Andrew Wilson. So the thing is all that being said, is the conversation's being had. My job, mission accomplished. This is what I wanted from the very beginning, was just for people to talk about it, because had I heard about it in my first 23 years of being a Christian, I certainly would have looked it up for myself. I never heard anybody mention it. I didn't even know it was a thing. I just assumed that the whole monogamy-only marriage doctrine was sound, that it had been vetted and researched, and I didn't even consider that it was wrong, which is why for the majority of 23 years I was single and abstinent, waiting for the one. Now look, Sana is the best girl I've ever dated. I don't believe in the one. I don't think it's biblical. I think, when the Bible says, hey, if your brother dies and his wife doesn't have a baby, you marry her and make her pregnant so the family name lives on. That isn't about the one. That's just like, hey, that's the right thing to do, bro. So marriage can be pragmatic too. It doesn't have to be, romantic, which ironically, that's where the monogamy only doctrine came from. The Romans, one man, one woman. But ideally you have both, right? Like I've been blessed to say I have both. We have great chemistry. We get along. We're best friends. We complement each other in almost every way. But it's also very pragmatic because we add a lot of value to each other's life. We're like a great team. I don't know that I could have married. Now look, let me go back. I was going to say, I don't know that I could have married somebody just for pragmatism, just because it, would have been good for me to do. Because I did date some good girls that were just sharp girls, and would have probably added a lot of value to my life. But I also needed the chemistry. So if you can get both, that's what I recommend. But you are more likely to marry a woman pragmatically under polygyny than you are under monogamy, because okay, she's got this whole set of skill sets, giftings, or maybe she's got kids. I can cover these kids, whatever. You can make that decision, just what's right, instead of necessarily chemistry. So that's another, argument in favor of biblical marriage and polygyny.
Yeah.
I may be rambling. I don't know. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. I don't know if we had anything else to talk about. My book got translated into Bulgarian. So I wrote a book a few years ago called Why Waiting Works, which is all about saving sex for marriage, which is funny because so many people think that I'm like, you're just horny, you're just full of lust. And I'm like, I didn't have sex for almost 2 decades. So I was on a podcast with this guy in Bulgaria today talking about the book and the benefits of saving sex for marriage and waiting. And yeah, I'm excited. There's maybe a potential that we go over there next year. We'll see. But now I think that's 4 languages now the book is in. It's English, Spanish, Romanian, and now Bulgarian. So
that's good.
Yep, we'll see. But I don't think
I have to translate it to Dutch.
I don't think there's any comments here.
Somebody said hi to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that they said that they could hear. Oh, same John, whatever, Siam John. Happy birthday, Rob Kowalski, Richie Boyer. Thank you. It's actually her birthday. My birthday was.
Happy holidays.
Oh, happy holidays. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Anyway, that's it. If you want to know more about the coaching program, there will be a link. I'll put a link in the description of this video. You can fill out a short application. We'll jump on a call, see if you're right for the program. Whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're single or a couple or a throuple or whatever, the program is right for you. We have everything from single men, single women. We have couples, we have thruples, we have, what do you call a man with 4 wives?
I don't know.
We have all those things. Or quadruples, or quintuples. I don't know what it is, but we have all that, and it's really special. There's nothing like this program in the world. I don't think anybody's doing what we're doing, and we're gonna make marriage great again. That's we're gonna make marriage great again. It's gonna be huge. That's my bad Trump impersonation. All right, love you guys.
Right.
Drop a comment. Let us know if you got any takeaways, and if you do have any questions. If you're watching the replay, drop the question, and we'll go back through this later and try to answer them on the next one. Love you guys.